Hey there, area leaders. It's Buck checking in. I'm sorry I can't be with you today. I'm at the PLC conference, so I wanted to share with you, though, a little bit about the Node desks. Since I did the pilot project for 30 days, I had the desks in my classroom in place of these desks, which are what I normally have. As you can see, they're in pods right now. So I wanted to share with you what my experience was regarding the desks as you're trying to make a decision, because I do know that the Node desks cost significantly more than the sled desks, the traditional desks. So I wanted to share kind of what I noted from it, and then if you get a chance, maybe you'll be able to look at a video that one of my public speaking classes put together that kind of examines from their standpoint some positives and negatives, or advantages and challenges. So first of all, I kind of was impressed that you could fit a lot more in the room. So when I just showed you the room right now, there are 32 desks in here. But when I had the other desks in here, I had a set of 40, and I still had more room than I really felt like I did with these desks. So they're in some ways they're smaller, and so you can fit more in. Now you might look at that as a good thing, or as a way for the district to put in more students. But I really think one of the advantages of it is that it allows you to feel like your room isn't as crowded and as full and as cluttered. One of the greatest advantages of these desks is the ability to move them easily. For a teacher who tends to switch things up, I do a lot of collaboration, so we work oftentimes in pairs or in small groups, and then we oftentimes are in a large group, or we're in kind of semi-large groups, and then we move back and forth. It's so much easier to move them, and in fact, since we've gone back to the sled desks, students kind of bellyache and moan about having to move things because they find it very tedious and cumbersome to move these big desks versus how easy it was to move the other desks. So those are a couple of things. I did like the undercarriage and the cup holder. The undercarriage allowed them to put a backpack under there if they could fit it. It wasn't the largest spot, but if you really held to it, you could make sure that all their stuff was underneath there. And actually, it's really bigger than the amount of room that you get under the sled desks. So it could keep things clean that way. So I thought that was a good thing. And the cup holder I thought was great, as well as the pencil holder and the tablet holder. The kids could put their tablet there. They could put their phone there, and it could be standing up. Some of the challenges that we saw to them, one of the grossest ones is that hair seems to stick to them all the time, like kind of static electricity, something along that line, and that was really, really gross. In fact, I would suggest that we have some kind of wipes or disinfectant wipes that we could have in our room so kids could wipe down the desks if they see things around, because it did attract an awful lot of hair. As I mentioned, they're already more expensive. I talked about the undercarriage. It's a little small, but I still think it's okay. It might not be the best for a class that's always traditionally in rows, because these desks move easily. So if you set up, for example, these sled desks in rows, they don't move very quickly or very easily. They are difficult to maneuver around. So they kind of stay in straight rows. But when students are in these other desks, they can be doing this, they can be rolling back and forth. And so it's more difficult to keep them in an orderly manner. Now, the way I typically set up my classroom to start and end is with the pods of 4, as I showed you right here. So what I would tell students is I would always ask them, made a point when we first got them, could you please put them back neatly into the pods of 4? And they were usually really respectful of that, and I could just remind them at the end of class, and it wasn't much of an issue. But if you weren't doing that, it gets really cluttered and just kind of seems very, very messy. So for someone who likes something that doesn't feel messy, you might run into issues with this in the classroom, and then if you don't have them, reset them at the end of class. And then I think the other thing that the students would talk about is, even though they like the ability to maneuver around and move, and in fact, it's even easy because you can go out in the hall. You can put a group out in the hall, and they can easily take their desk out there, which is great. So that works well. But the desk itself, the space, the desktop, is quite small. It's smaller than the sled desks. There's not an armrest on the side, so that was something that was a little more frustrating to people, to the students. But overall, if I was going to have to pick between the two sets of desks, even for the increased amount, I would highly recommend doing the Node desks. There's just so many advantages. It transforms your teaching in some ways, and allows so much more flexibility for different teaching activities. So I would highly, highly recommend it. And feel free, if you have any questions, feel free to check in with me. If you want to talk directly with me, you can certainly send me an email. I'll be on my email all day today. And you can also text me to 651-226-0901. Send me a text, give me a call. I'm happy to share more of my perspective. But that was my perspective, and I highly recommend them. All right, thanks. Have a great day.